prime example of how quickly things could just flip, because I remember it's kind of be a lot to explain, but I remember when I first started texting you last time before we recorded, it was kind of highlighting a lot of the bad the Bulls were doing since they got Vooch, since the trade deadline. And then they were on a 3-game winning streak. And for a moment, we all got like super happy and excited, thinking that like this is going to be that turnaround. And after that 3-game win streak, they lost a few games in a row. And I think the big one was when they lost to the Orlando Magic, the Wendell Carter revenge game. He did play really well, actually.
He did. He had 19 and 12.
Right. And then literally, I think either that night or the day after, we get the news that LaVine's going to miss 10 to 14 days due to health and safety protocols. And man, like, this team has been so disappointing, to put it frankly. And there's a lot of angles we can approach this, but I just want to just go ahead and give it over to you to start, just to see where your head's at and how you feel. I mean, I know how you feel, but to hear what you have to say about this team and where they're at right now.
Man, if anyone's been listening to the pod, if you know me, you know I've been calling for a tank all season. Mm-hmm. And it's looking that way, bro. I mean, honestly, let me take a step back. Am I happy the Bulls are losing? No, I'm not. I would like them to do well. I would like them to perform better. But at the same time, man, I'm not going to sit up here and act like this isn't a deep draft class coming up. And not only is it a deep draft class, the pick that we traded for Vooch is top 4 protected. So it would be, some bullshit, pun fully intended, for us to get the 5th pick and and forfeit that to Orlando. But, I mean, if we get a top 4 pick, man, now we're looking at Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, bro. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it gets.
Gotta have a glass half full.
Yeah,
it could get nice, man. But like on the court, I would definitely say we've been derailed by a lot. Just haven't figured it out, and that's gonna take with time. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are like, oh well, the Vooch trade. Like, did we actually win that? And it's like, dude, it takes time to figure things out. Like,
for me, when I look at this team, game in and game out, the issue comes down to the backcourt. And, the front court at this point is undoubtedly our strong suit between Vooch, obviously, who's been amazing since he's gotten here. He's been consistent and productive. Thad Young, who I believe is one of the best veteran big men in the league.
Yep.
Larry Markkinen and Daniel Theis, who I believe is getting really, really good minutes since he's came over. I think that's a really good front court. And I think with the exception of maybe Larry, you can kind of count on those guys to come and give you good minutes. And the problem is, outside of that, our guard play is just all over the place, man. You got Satoransky, who has the ability to maybe step up and make plays, but he doesn't have that the athleticism or the quickness to really create his own shot. He's one of those guys that is good within the system, but you really can't count on Sato to get buckets. And you think about Kobe White, he's almost the opposite, where you can count on Kobe on a given night to get you 25 to 30 points and to light up from 3 and create offense, but he's still all over the place with his consistency. And outside of Garrett Temple, there's not one perimeter defender that you can really bank on stopping penetration. You might want to add Patrick Williams there, but I don't think he's at the point in his young career where he can do anything with the smaller, quicker guards. So I guess a point that needs to be made, and I feel like it's missed on a lot of young teams or just rosters in general, is this too often we talk about teams and players and we go to like, who can they acquire? Like, who's out there? Who can they draft? Who can they pick? Sometimes you see this with some of the best teams. It's about developing who you got right now on your team. And
that is true too.
Yeah. For me, I look at Patrick Williams, I look at Kobe White, because the two guys, I've actually had some issues with Patrick Williams of late, because since the All-Star break, there's been lulls where offensively it's just like, it's a lack of aggression, and that's what bothers me. Our boy Stacey King says something about it virtually every game. Make mistakes, but make mistakes trying to score the ball or putting pressure on defenses. Too many times I see him just throwing in the corner as our guards just do pick and rolls and run the dribble handoffs, and he's just stagnant on offense. And it kind kind of rubs me the wrong way, but obviously he's so young. But I think with him and Kobe, ball handling should be a huge point of emphasis for both of their offseason because, again, your ability to handle the ball. Ask Kawhi Leonard, ask Paul George, ask those guys who have become such dynamic, ask DeMar DeRozan, ask those guys how they became such dynamic players and scorers. Sometimes it comes down to being able to handle the ball so you can get to points and let your athleticism take over because you're in control. So I hope it comes down to just things like that being a difference in this team moving forward. Guys just taking that next step.
Yeah. I mean, that also comes down to like coaching staff too, which probably a topic for another day. But I think it's a big reason why you see like some of the premier, personal trainers that are now like on staffs, right? If you think about Chris Brickley, originally starting in New York before he blew up and had Black Ops, who's one of the premier trainers, even having a Puma deal and with Liz now and all these things that Chris has going on for himself. Or seeing the OG Phil Handy, who won a title with the Cavs in 2016, won with the Raptors 2019, just won with the Lakers last year 2020, and Phil's without doubtedly a he's number one in my opinion trainer in terms of development. And then you got guy Sham guy down there with Luka, which you see some of the stuff that Luka does, and like a lot of guy Sham God, who for those who don't know, the Sham God is after him because that's his name. Like you can see how Luka, his taps and how they've gotten better. So it will be nice to see, Billy, if he can get somebody like that on their staff. I think that'll be tough to do, a guy at that level. But if you get somebody with some development, really could take a turn. So, man, I'm just excited. I think with Pat Williams, I know, it can be, times where he kind of gets lost in the mix and is not aggressive. But what I like about Pat is like you can see the way that he scores the ball, that the way the decisions he makes, like he's very capable, and I think you want more of that.
You just see
but he just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that person. He doesn't have that personality where he's just gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go assert myself," and I'm playing with a Zach LaVine, a Vucevic.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But it's gonna become a time where he's gonna be like, because he's got one of the best pull-ups in the NBA right now.
I just see a lot of times where like teams will put point guards on him, and I'm just like, man, like I can't wait till we get to a point where like that's barbecue chicken. He can just take dudes off the dribble, post up, and I'm sure that's all stuff he'll add to his bag as the years go on. And
facts.
I gotta tell myself to be patient. Even with Kobe, I gotta tell myself to be patient because it's funny because whenever I think about other players now on the Bulls, I'd be like, we be patient. Sometimes it takes guys to their 23, 24, but from our boys, I'm like, bro, you gotta be good tomorrow. like come on.